Hey there, I'm Steph Fizer Coleman, and today we're going to be illustrating these pumpkins using some of my favorite Caran products, including tube gouache, Neopastels, and Luminance Colored Pencils. We're going to start by mixing a color for our background using primary yellow, white, and magenta. And then we're going to use this just to create a solid color background to work from. It's going to make everything really cohesive as we continue with our pumpkin illustrations. So I'm just using a flat brush just to build in sort of like a rough rectangle shape with some irregular edges, which I think just brings a little bit more character to something like this, especially if you're going to be using it for like an art print or something like that. And you can see as I'm working here that this has got a lot of nice texture. You can see some brush strokes. It's really got some character that's going to show through as we work on our pumpkins. So I have a quick sketch here that I've done using a Neocolor 2 crayon. I'm just going to refer to that loosely as I begin to paint the pumpkins. So I am going to just add a lot of color to this Caran palette, and I'm going to start mixing all of these warm tones together, and I'm going to start painting the individual body of all of these pumpkins. So I'm being pretty messy here, which is why I've chosen to use this Caran palette that you would normally use for like Neocolor 2 mixing. I just want to have like a really broad flat surface here, so I can mix all of like the magenta and the scarlet and the primary yellow and the yellow ochre and the white. I want to be able to mix these all together so I can get a lot of variation in color and in texture. I'm going to do some mixing on the palette like I'm doing right now, and then I'm going to do some mixing on the page as I paint in the bodies of the pumpkin. So some of them will just be like a single color like this one, and then some of them are going to have some color variation. Now for my brush now, I'm just using the number 8 round brush that comes with this set of Caran tubed gouache. It's actually a pretty great little brush. It's a good size, and it's really perfect for this project. And with this next pumpkin here, let's do a little color mixing on the page. So I'm gonna start with this like orangey pink, and then let's grab a little bit of more of a traditional bright orange. And then I'm gonna paint the other side of the pumpkin here. And then I'm just gonna start mixing these colors together right on the page, so we get these really nice blends. I'll show you a close-up in a minute of what these beautiful textures look like. So I'm gonna keep filling up my page with pumpkin shapes, using my sketch over here on the right-hand side of the screen as just a rough guide as I work along. And you can see as we work at filling in these different pumpkin shapes that we have so much nice color variation and texture variation already. This is going to bring a lot of life to this illustration as we continue to work. You can also see that you can see some of the brush strokes and the pumpkin shapes in a couple spots. If that makes you nervous, don't worry. We're going to add some extra texture here in a minute, and it's going to tame that a little bit and make it look really lovely. All right, so our pumpkin shapes are all painted in on our beautiful peachy pink background. Next, we're gonna go in with Neopastels, and we're gonna start adding some more color variation and some texture. So I'm choosing 3 colors. I've got a purplish red here, and then I'm also gonna use vermilion, which is a beautiful orangey red. And then for my other color, I'm just gonna use yellow. So what I'm gonna do here, well, this one's obviously well loved. So I'm going to just scribble in some of these Neopastels on top of the painted areas of the pumpkins. I'm going to start with yellow, and then I'm going to go in with the other 2 colors and just Not try to make it neat and perfect, but just try to get in some areas of just a little bit of added texture and color variation. And then we're gonna do a little magic trick to blend everything together and really marry the gouache backgrounds with the Neopastels, and you're gonna see some actual magic happen. So I'm grabbing a piece of non-bleed tissue paper and I'm just tearing a section of it off, and I'm going to use this to blend all of my Neopastels together with my gouache painting underneath. So I'm just going to kind of like wad it up in a little bit of a ball here with a space where I can kind of tuck a finger in. So I've got a nice scribble tool here. And I'm just going to go in and start smudging these Neopastels together. So you can see it's really blending in with the beautiful colors that we painted in gouache. And I'm also letting, as I do this, I'm letting the texture of the smudged Neopastel venture outside of the pumpkin shapes. So it's gonna add an extra layer of texture to that peachy pink background that we've already painted. And it's just gonna give everything just a little bit more liveliness and a little bit more texture. And it's gonna be really beautiful when we finish the whole thing. So let's just keep going. Let's keep smudging our Neopastels together and see what beautiful combinations we get as we blend everything. So I'm just continuing to use my tissue paper to go over the already smudged areas and to continue smudging the pumpkins, making sure that everything is blended really well and that I have these beautiful textural additions to the background color as well. So it's just giving us this extra layer of gorgeousness as we work. For the final step, we're gonna grab a Luminance Colored Pencil. This one is dark sap green, and I'm gonna use this to add in the details on the pumpkins, including the stems and some definition and variation within the shape of the pumpkin itself. One of the cool effects that we get because we smudged this Neopastel is that when we're using the Luminance Colored Pencil, we will have areas where the colored pencil is very bold and then areas that are kind of waxy. And those areas are gonna resist a little bit. So we're gonna get some really nice variation in color in our colored pencil just because of the nature of the Neopastels that are smudged underneath it. So you'll see that I'm, for the most part, holding my pencil in various places on the barrel. So sometimes close to the bottom, sometimes close to the end, just to get a nice sort of wonky variation in the lines as I illustrate these pumpkins, because it just gives everything a little bit more character. And it's just, I think, a little bit more fun to be a little bit quirky and weird with these as we work on them. So let's keep making lines on our pumpkin. And there we are, all finished with our pumpkin illustration with lots of texture and color variation. I hope you had fun drawing along with me.